lift Arkansas to a series win by claiming a victory, pitching well despite some unearned runs in the first last Sunday at Auburn. We're underway. Bradfield lifting one towards left, and it'll bend into the seats and be out of play. So Bradfield's had 2 games. He's been 3 for 4 in both contests, jumping his average all the way up to 314. Troy, he's gained 17 points on his average in 2 games this late in the year.
Yeah, he's had a lot of fun here at Baum-Walker Stadium.
Add another one to it. A laser to right, dropping in front of Borfin, and Bradfield on to begin game 3.
The really scary thing, Brett, is Bradfield's just a sophomore.
That is true. Jackson Wiggins took a long look at his numbers.
The catcher, number 16, Jack Bolger.
That earned run average maybe a little bit high, but he's a guy that when Arkansas was winning series earlier this year, it was because he was helping them take that do-or-die game 3. There's Jack Bolger. Instead of throw to first, Bradfield again perfect this year in stolen base attempts. 37 of his team's 74. He's off and running. Pretty good throw, but safe at second base. Bradfield gets another.
Boy, that's about as good as you can do as if you're Michael Turner, but the jumps he gets are just tremendous. Bang, bang play, but that head first slide gets him in there just by a hair.
This kid's been the focal point of a lot of scouting reports, and they still have not been able to stop it. Arkansas has dug themselves some huge holes this weekend. Maybe another here. That one shot to the gap and right, but Borfin back nearing the fence will make the catch. Bradfield's going to go to third. There's no guarantee he may not round here. Advances 90 feet on the first out. Back on Friday, Arkansas was down 5-0 out of the gates, came back to tie on 2 occasions before losing. They were down 5-1 both last night and today into the completion of the second game. And Troy, in these 7-inning games, I guess it's Captain Obvious, but you really love either of these teams a chance to score first, knowing it's a little bit shorter contest.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think both teams kind of feel a lot of pressure with getting on the board early and trying to hold on to that lead.
Here's Spencer Jones. That hit him? Yes, it did. Now, Jones had been 0 for 9 in this series, but he will take the free base. Here's your Razorback defense. We just saw Borfin make the catch in right. He's joined by Webb in center, Gregory in left. There's your infield. No surprise, Wallace battles more in Slavens. Turner catching, even though Dylan Leach is the DH. Here's Dominic Keegan, one of the best hitters in this league. 11 homers, 52 knocked in. Keegan's had 1 hit, a double, 1 RBI so far in the series. One thing Arkansas did with regularity in a few previous conference series was turn double plays. They had 9, 3 in each game of that Ole Miss series. Had a few big plays as well defensively at Auburn despite 6 errors. They'd love one here. But Jackson Wiggins bringing the heat. This one popped down the line in right and in the seats. Was that previous pitch at 100?
Yeah, that's what it registered at 100. That's some cheese right there. Here's what I'm thinking, Brett. You've got a guy that runs really well and Spencer Jones at first base. And, boy, if you try to throw through, Bradfield can almost score on a throw down to second base. So you wonder if they're just going to let the really good hitting Keegan swing away or start Jones.
Wave to miss. That's a big K for Jackson Wiggins to get the second out of the inning.
That one came in at 98. And he reached back for a little extra right there. It's just power versus power. Little run right there.
The left fielder, number 2.
That's tough to hit. You just wonder in this situation, does Turner just eat that baseball if Jones tries to go to second base?
See the numbers for Javier Vaz, the left fielder. Wiggins will paint again. Vaz 2 hits and 6 at bats. Feels like he's been on base a lot. So is Bradfield. He has the walking lead at third. My goodness, that ball has some life on it too.
Yeah, there's some late life and some run on it as well. I think if you're Wiggins, you really don't want to speed up Vaz's bat with an off-speed pitch. Just stay with the fastball.
Curious to see if he wastes one. Puts one out of the zone. Turner's clearly setting up out, but he gets the wave and a miss anyhow. I think he caught more of the plate than he. Number 2 was Carter Holton of Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
he's Caden Wallace.
Definitely has some electric stuff.
Wallace led off the game with a homer. In our second game, added a 3-run blast to right field, so you see the 8 bombs.
96 on the last fastball.
Quickly 0-2.
He's not wasting any time.
Say not.
Getting the read on the watch and just getting right back on the bump.
Hit in the air, down the line and right. If this stays fair, it's got a chance to go. It's bending. Foul. Bobby Wernis there to say something to first base umpire Clint Lawson. Clearly saw where that finished. Did they think it went inside the pole? DVH motioning to Morris Hodges. As we all know, the disclaimer here, Troy, is that it's really tough with these angles we have in college baseball to see fair or foul on home runs.
Right, it's not like you have a camera right down the line, and you definitely saw where it landed. It was right of the foul pole, but again, the wind is blowing straight in from left field, which is real unusual.
Off the bat, you knew that had home run distance. It's hard for a right-handed hitter to hit one up on that bases loaded landing. So Wallace, for the time being, remains down in the count, 0-2. I guess why DVH has to ask is because Bobby's right there at first base near the chalk. He feels like he's got a pretty good look.
There's that wind blowing straight in from left field, so it's going to blow that ball that Caden Wallace hit foul.
Also lost 20 degrees on our temperature. And even though it didn't rain a lot for the weather disruption, there was one time about an hour ago where within an 8-mile radius there were 1,100 lightning strikes in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Is that enough for you?
One kind of crazy electrical storm, isn't it?
These fans hung out in the concourse, out there in the hog pen. I believe this conversation a quick one because there's just not a look.
The previous play has been upheld by video review as a foul ball.
A fan up on top of the roof.
I know. I'm figuring out how to get up there.
You can't be a fan. That's got to be, I don't know.
Someone's up there.
He's retrieving Brady Slavin's home run ball from a couple of nights ago. Wallace skies one to shallow left. Vaz comes in. That's a long run to get there and make the catch.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, the second baseman.
Well, if you hit one out to left today, it's going to have to be a low screaming liner. The wind's going to knock everything down in the air.
Robert Moore, next man in. Was 0 for 3 with a pair of walks in game 2. Played 6 innings Saturday night. Completed the game starting at 11 a.m. this morning. (2-0). That pitch was at 97 of the gun.
Some guys bringing some heat in this third game.
I was curious if Holton maybe has hit a little bit of that freshman wall that other guys have in recent weeks. And as the story goes, I believe his velocity had dropped to the low 90s a few weeks back, and maybe similar to Hagen Smith, there was a thought mechanically just a little bit off, not a tired arm. Breaking ball for a strike. What was interesting, the guy loved to swing the bat. They told him to start taking BP. He was showing up at the Hawk. He was taking BP at all hours.
Why not?
I'm not sure how that helps your velocity, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a tension thing.
Well, maybe it's just trying to get your mind off of pitching, and one way to relax.
Maybe it loosens up the arms.
Take some anger out, possibly.
3-2 pitch, cut on a missed, 96. Shallow fly out, a strikeout, 2 gone. Well, he's got a lot of energy in him, doesn't he? He's like a wild bull.
Well, this is just challenging with the fastball right down the chute. Big hack by Robert Moore and swung right through it.
Seen Jalen Battles this year batting 7th or 8th. Last year at times batting 9th. He's hitting 3-hole today, and he just fouled one right back off the mask of Bulger. Jalen's home run earlier this morning was his 8th of the season. Bulger looks like he's okay. That was a mighty hack from Battles.
That's never fun. Morris Hodges giving Bulger a little more time right there to make sure he can get his wits together, make sure all his fillings are still attached.
Talked about the seniors being honored last night. Michael Turner, Zebulon Vermillion, Isaac Bracken. There's a lot of guys like Battles and Moore who could also be playing their last regular season home game too, but there is eligibility left, and as we know, the draft will be enticing soon for these guys with options, not just for Arkansas but for Vandy. Pulled the string.
Wow, really nice changeup right there.
About a 12-mile-an-hour difference between the fastball and the change.
Yeah, anytime you're over 10, that's impressive.
A chopper to Diaz. And his throw to first retires Battles, and the Rays going back-to-back with regular season titles. They win the tournament. Meanwhile, we're in the second inning of a 7-inning game after the weather delay, and here's Davis Diaz. Freshman with a couple of home runs. That's a strike, 2-1.
Diaz asking if that's the bottom part of the zone, which I think it is. Always like to do that as a hitter. Go ahead and get a feeling where that umpire's zone is.
Hit well to center. Webb started back, coming in and now drifting to his left. Still gliding. Retires Diaz to begin the Vandy second inning.
Brad, I think today's also one of those days that you never stop running when you hit a baseball in the air. Who knows where it's going to end up.
Parker Nolan's been a pest for Arkansas. Had a big game 1. Came on a pinch hit in the 8th inning earlier this morning. Got a base hit. He's jumped his average up 18 points. For my money, had 2 of the 3 biggest swings for the Commodores Friday night.
Yeah, I really think so. He's a guy that uses that whole batter's box. That back foot is right on that back line.
There's another gapper heading towards the left center field. Webb's going to cut it off, but Nolan will race to second base with a double. Arkansas has had no answers whatsoever for Bradfield and Parker Nolan.
Watch this great swing. Watch this Head down at contact right there. Nice inside-out swing. Not a bad pitch by Jackson Wiggins. Just a better swing right there. And boy, it doesn't get any better than that. Parker Nolan is on fire this weekend.
Just drilling balls to left field and left center. Take Colwick in. He homered before the game was suspended last night. Knocked in 3 of Andy's 6 runs. Senior from Memphis. Was injured last year during their postseason run, so he'd like to be a part of this year's journey.
Arkansas's defense on the infield playing Colwick to pull. Battles maybe a couple steps over into that hole by the third baseman, and Robert Moore almost playing directly behind second base. The big, huge hole to the right side.
It's a little bit in. Much to the consternation of the faithful. Well, pent-up anger.
After all the delay, I think they're ready for some action.
That's on the corner.
That's a dandy right there. You just can't hit that as a hitter.
Nolan at second with a 1-out double, hoping to score the first run of this game for Vanderbilt. Long pause from Wiggins before the pitch. That's another fastball just thrown right by. Vandy hitter. That is strikeout number 3.
That was 98. Talking about reaching back and getting a little extra. Jackson Wiggins. You can see the reaction of Michael Turner, and that's some gas.
Troy LaNeve, the DH, getting his first chance to play in this series. He's had 31 at bats. Pittsburgh native. He's had some big hits in his career. Last year had a walk-off home run against Kentucky. Also homered in the 14-11 11-inning regional clinching win against Georgia Tech. Left-handed bat in there against Wiggins.
You know you're throwing hard when your changeup's coming in at 89.
I thought the same thing.
I was like,
I had to
that thing had a lot of run.
think about that in my mind. A little bit of a close stance from Wiggins before that pitch, and then he came in and got the wave of a miss from LaNeve.
So Arkansas defensively play the shift on Colwick. LaNeve, they're playing him pretty much straight away, both on the infield and the outfield.
Wiggins going for his 4th strikeout. Off the corner.
Fastball's got a little run to it today.
Say some life.
It's definitely got life. There's no doubt about that.
But it's got more life,
Yeah.
it feels like.
A little extra something.
Two-2 pitch. It's off the corner. I don't think Wiggins really wants to lose LaNeve after jumping ahead, and also with Bradfield on deck.
Yeah, I think so. Those are 2 pitches I think that Turner sat out right on the outside corner, maybe even off a little bit. And I think with the way that Wiggins is throwing, you just want to try to split the plate on the 9-hole hitter. Now you've got a lot of pressure to throw a strike here, 3-2.
Here's a payoff. Wave and a miss. Michael Turner 1 for 10 so far in the series, batting cleanup. Leads off the second inning against Carter Holton. Hit into a pair of double plays. This Razorback team, we've mentioned it a few times, they have won 12 straight home SEC series. So to keep that streak going, even though they lost a Friday the 13th game, is to win their 13th straight. They have to win here in this finale.
That's a lot of pressure right there for Arkansas. Carter Holton is blowing. His first pitch in this at bat was 98. That was 96.
He's got the juice, shading that watch to get his signal or sign, and then he's ready to work. Breaking balls outside. Turner lifting one in foul territory, and that ball is going to hit the side wall in front of Vaz. Just curious to see if that might land on the track or find the seats. It did neither.
Yeah, just a really impossible place for anybody to get to that baseball. Wouldn't hit very high, and the wind kind of pushed it away from Vaz.
Said about Turner in our previous game when he was batting second. He's got to wonder how many left-handers he's seen this week from Vanderbilt. There were lefties coming out of the pen for the sole purpose of maybe facing him, and now he gets a left-handed starter. Batting cleanup. Outside corner, strike three called. 4 up, 4 down, couple of Ks, and I don't think Michael thrilled with the strike from Morris Hodges as we take another look.
Wow, yeah, that one's out.
Off.
I think the conversation was Turner said, I need that one as well.
Yeah, I don't even know if they do that anymore. I think you're just concerned about your ABs. Here's Braden Webb. I might go up there and say, listen, my pitcher doesn't need that as long as I don't get rung up on that. Talk a lot about Arkansas's right-handed hitters needing to produce sometimes against some of these tough lefties. Webb has been one of those called upon. No Lanzilli, though, in the lineup today.
That's a little puzzling. Trying to figure that one out.
It's popped up, backing out of play. Leach serving as the DH. So if, say, Michael Turner, there's Lanzilli. Michael Turner would get dinged or something behind the plate, and Leach would have to catch, then Arkansas would lose their DH.
Yeah, that's a little troubling if something does happen to Michael Turner. And I'll tell you what, the way he's been catching foul tips off the body and arms and stuff, that's always a concern.
Yeah, he's been a pincushion. High to Webb, count's gone full. Arkansas looking for its first base runner.
Well, you're not going to catch up with any high fastballs from either one of these pitchers today.
Think not. Hit a mile high and foul. Hate to think of it in these terms. I was talking about senior day for Webb. Troy, if Arkansas would, for whatever reason, just hypothetically not play well at Alabama or down the stretch, this could be the final home game.
Yeah, very much so.
Again, we're thinking about hosting a regional and who knows about a super, but I mean, nothing is guaranteed quite yet. In the air to right. Jones has had some difficulty this series, not this time. 2 outs.
Yeah, the RPI rating is for Arkansas is what is concerning if they really hit a big, more than a speed bump, but hit a wall. Like you said, maybe a poor showing today and then down at Alabama. And also if they
Hoover
don't do well at Hoover. Exactly.
Arkansas's non-conference strength of schedule, 247. They had 10 opponents outside the top 200. Just one of those years. Your opponents don't play well.
Then your opponents in conference don't play well. 99.
Right.
Wow.
You don't play Tennessee, that type of thing. There's your RPIs in the top 30. So despite Arkansas being 4th, 5th, 6th all year in the polls, that RPI paints a little different picture, and I guess we'll see what the committee does. They've had a track record of favoring RPI. Slavens hits one foul outside of first past Keegan. A win, though, today for Arkansas in that conversation.
It
that
slows,
might be a concern.
It slows way down.
Agreed.
That's the advantage of playing a number 3 RPI team like Vanderbilt.
2 outs and 2 strikes. And Vandy very much playing to be a host. Welcome 3 teams to Nashville. They'll be at LSU next week. Actually, they have LSU at home. That did not miss by much.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Carter Holton was halfway to the dugout.
So is Bolger, the catcher.
Yeah, I think that they've got a lot to. I don't know. I don't think that's down crossing the plate. I think it's a strike.
I do too. I think it's sweeping across the dish. Again, close, but no cigar for Holton. Hawks have it at a base run.
Yeah, pretty close misses right there. I don't know if Brady Slavens has got a great eye or just a little bit lucky.
Well, he might want to pull the trigger here. He does and pops one up. And Bolger back looking for room.
That's right above us.
Right on top of your head.
I think I had the play, though. Without the roof, I'm all over it. It's that wind. Anything up is going to blow back into the stands.
Slavens with the 2 homers on Friday. Walked twice in game 2. He earned that walk. Hogs get a base run.
That's called grinding through an at-bat right there, Brady Slavens. And here's what it did. That's 35 pitches already for Carter Holton. Dave Van Horn says Dylan Leach he feels like a better right-handed hitter than a left-handed hitter. That's why he's getting the opportunity today.
50 at-bats on the year. Takes that slow curve for strike 1. He has been the master of these midweek games, going back to his cycle in which he homered from both sides of the plate. Getting a chance here in conference action to start a game, albeit as the DH.
Couple off-speed pitches to Leach.
We were talking a little bit about RPI, Troy, and we saw that graphic. Mentioned Texas A&M had canceled a couple of games already with Incarnate Word. I see Texas State very much alive to be, maybe a 2 seed someplace. They've already canceled a game in the next 2 days against HBU. Just wiped it off the calendar. So we have gotten to a point, I think, where something needs to be done as far as dropping a couple of games or giving you a little bit of wiggle room, because this is not good for our sport either, to be canceling games just because we don't want to play them because of RPI.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, almost like we talked about before, you need to be able to drop 1 or 2 games.
Another one popped up back and out of play. I mean, if, early in the year we fight this issue, can you get games in? Is it too cold? Is it too wet? Travel issues on Sundays. Just canceling games because we don't want to play them because of RPI now. And I understand why they would consider it or do it. I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, you've got to make some kind of rule to take away that option.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Leach. Spinning a little bit up and in. Got to cut down the glare on that watch to get the sign.
Yeah, because it's not like he's trying to hide it from anybody out there on the mound.
Trying to see it.
It's just a little bright.
That's strike 3. And the years, see his career record, 8 College World Series appearances. Better be ready for Bradfield, though. All this guy does is put the first ball in play, and usually he gets a base hit. See, up to 7 hits in 9 at-bats now in this series?
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. His productivity.
Now, he got on to start the game, swiped second base, got to third with 1 out, did not score, and we might be looking back on that inning soon as a big frame.
Right. I totally agree.
And yet he was trying to get on base to start this third to provide that same opportunity.
Put a smile on his face. He's saying, I almost wore that one at 95 under the chin.
In the air to center. I would have to put out a press release. The Razorbacks have retired Enrique Bradfield Jr.
It does not happen very often this weekend.
This young man is a big UFC fan, mixed martial arts. He'd be a wiry guy, wouldn't he, to be competing with the mixed martial arts?
If his hand speed is as fast as his foot speed, I don't think I'd want to climb in that ring.
No chance. Here's Bolger. He flied out rather deep right. His only time in.
Well, when Wiggins can land that slider cutter, it's a difference maker for him.
Something to get them off that velocity. Not that picking that up is easy, of course. Hard to square that up when you have to be ready for 96 to 98.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that's kind of a guided swing right there by Jack Bolger. Again, understandably so. A little up and
in the zone, yep, just enough. Poked to right. That's a base hit by Bolger. So another hit, another base runner for the Commodores with the 3 and 4 hitters due up, including Spencer Jones, who was hit by a pitch back in the first off his shoe. Jones, an interesting story. He's always been a big guy, and you see his frame stepping into the box. When he was 12 years old in Little League, his parents had to attend a board meeting. There were so many concerns that he just hit balls harder than so many kids he was going to take out a pitcher. They were considering putting a screen in front of the pitchers.
Wow.
He could do his damage. In 2014, he just missed out on a Little League World Series. And I feel like his parents and my parents need to get together, or myself and with his parents, and commiserate, because I suffer that same pain. I might get over that in 30 years from now. That same year, 2014. Wake up every morning and I think about it. I'm sure they do the same thing. But he committed to Vandy before he even played an inning of high school baseball. And that pitch a little bit down and in. La Costa Canyon in Carlsbad, California. Freshman year he played with Mickey Moniak, who would later be a #1 overall pick with the Phillies. But he was a pitcher. And he had a couple of arm injuries, including one late in high school and then one that he rehabbed once he got to campus. Elbow fracture, a ligament tear. That's high 2-1. So, I mean, he was drafted way back by the Angels, 2019, 31st round. Came to Vandy, I would imagine, as a two-way player. Troy, he was so rusty when he decided he was just going to be a hitter that he was having a hard time hitting the ball off a tee, just stationary.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And again, some guys just have never had that knack of hitting off a tee, especially if you never did it as a little leaguer.
He's going to wave and miss.
Now, that's a pretty nasty 2-1 pitch right there. Wiggins pulled the string with a changeup.
Jones went to the Cape last year. He's got some grandparents that have a home on the Cape. That's not bad. And he played for the Brewster Whitecaps and was part of the All-Star team and had a 19-game hitting streak coming into this series. Looking for his first hit here in these 3 games. Trying to kickstart something for the Doors in the 3rd inning. He fouled one off the helmet, I think, or the mask of Michael Turner. My goodness, that did not feel well. I thought he was going to topple over for a second. He was kind of wobbling and
Yeah, definitely took a chunk out of Turner. Let's see where it catches him right here.
Watch after it hit him.
Oh,
on the side.
On the side.
That's why he starts to wobble here. And
it's like in the rib cage or something almost.
Why does it always hit catchers just outside of areas that are protected by equipment? Up and out. I said it last inning. It feels like there have been a couple of situations with runners on base for Wiggins you feel like are a little more critical than others. Just because 1 or 2 runs in 1 inning could swing this game, which would swing this series.
You'd have to think that Bulger at first, being the catcher, is not going to start. He's got a really, really short lead.
He is going. That's fouled back.
Wow, shocked me there.
I felt like earlier in the sequence it looked like he was getting spunky at first, as if maybe he wanted to put the wheels in motion, and this is just that effort of putting pressure. It's not as if Bulger is so fast that they feel like if Jones strikes out he can swipe second base, but just keep the wheels in motion, keep a little bit of pressure on the Razorbacks.
I think it puts another thought in the pitcher's head as well. Of, okay, he's probably going to take off. Now do I have to be a little quicker to the plate? And
no doubt.
Does that cause a pitch not to hit the zone because you're trying to be too quick? All kinds of things happen when you put a runner in motion. Getting a pretty safe lead over there.
Ground ball to first. Kicked by Slavens. And going to third base is Bulger. And the throw's not in time, my goodness. It was a chance to get an easy out at first, or maybe risk that throw to second base.
I think Slavens is thinking double play right here, and he just doesn't look this ball into his glove. Kicks off there. You see Robert Moore scamper over, and he tries to make a great throw to third, but Bulger runs too well, and the Doors have got runners on the corners with just 1 out, and the dangerous Dominic Keegan up at the plate.
When he didn't come up with it cleanly, you thought, well, he's going to go scamper, get it, step on first, at least get an out. Then he didn't get an out, and Bulger goes all the way to third base.
I just ricocheted all the way out into this shallow right field.
Here is Keegan, the cleanup hitter. He went down on strikes with runners at first and third in the first. Runners on the corners again. You're tempting fate with a good RBI man. And the wind's going to push that out of play. Wiggins was victimized by some defense in the first inning Sunday at Auburn. Had to pitch around that and some unearned runs. Needs to make some pitches here to Keegan. Last week against Georgia, he had a 2-run homer in all 3 games of the series. Nice pitch for strike 2.
Yeah, there's definitely some big-time power right there for Dominic Keegan. 11 bombs. Came into this at-bat hitting .380 with 52 RBIs.
Wiggins has struck out 4 in the year to right. Borfin will make the catch. Bulger is going to tag. Here's the throw. It's offline, and Vanderbilt for the 3rd straight game. Stolen bases and such.
Boy, off the bat, you just didn't think that ball was going to carry that far. Thought, okay, well, it's going to be a pretty close play at the plate, and it just kept going out to right field.
Here's Javier Vaz. I think the impressive part for Keegan, he did it with 2 strikes.
Right. I think that was an 0-2 pitch, wasn't it?
It's another one popped up, back and out of play. Probably not as strange as the Pirates winning a game today without getting a hit. 1 run, no hits, and winning the game against Cincinnati?
That's hard to do. No hits in the victory.
I don't think officially that's a no-hitter because it went 8 innings and the home team did not bat. They led 1-0. But you see some strange things, maybe none more so than that today in baseball. But it's 1-0 Vandy here, and Vaz watches the pitch miss high. Another issue, Troy, for Arkansas. I believe A&M finished off Mississippi State, didn't they?
I think they did. They were up 6-1 the last time I checked. And
that means if Vanderbilt would win this game, then Arkansas would be tied with A&M for the division lead, correct?
That is correct.
And A&M would own the tie break. Two balls and a strike. All of a sudden, Wiggins has started to miss up just a bit, or a lot.
Yeah, sometimes you get that pitchers might overstride and they can't get that chest out over that front knee to drive that baseball down in the zone.
Which was elevated too, but fouled back.
A little surprised Michael Turner on that last pitch was sitting up on the outside corner. I mean, it is 3-1, and he's thinking to keep that chest protector and that mitt right over the middle of the home plate.
Jones will run.
And just roaring forward. That's
Are they going to Oxford next week? Take on Ole Miss?
I think that was this. No, that was Mississippi State. No, let me think about that. Mississippi State this week.
You ponder?
Yep, it's Mississippi State this week. I think you're right. I think it's Oxford.
It's Chase Borfin. So Borfin, Gregory, and Wallace, 8-9-1 for the Razorbacks on the bottom of the third.
That's a couple hot teams, though.
Yes,
Ole Miss is getting hot, too.
I agree. It's a fun time of the year, all around college baseball. I think Gonzaga yesterday had a 15-inning, 5-hour, 15-minute game.
Whew.
They got a walk-off home run. Longest baseball game ever played at their stadium. And you know those momentum swings and the epic mounting pressure builds. And they're this deep in May. I think Arkansas may be feeling just a little bit of that here again because this is a 7-inning game. Pop up from Borfin. Colwick out in fair territory. Makes the catch. Arkansas, Troy, does not have a hit. 8 batters through.
Carter Holton has been spot on. He's really been able to fill up that strike zone both with the fastball and that big sweeping breaking ball. And again, lefties are just having a whole lot of problems against Holton.
He comes as advertised.
Oh, most definitely.
Here's Gregory. Zach will take that a little bit in.
Almost clipped that pad there on that right elbow. That was close.
Zach was hit by a pitch, the first pitch this morning when we resumed play at 11:02 a.m.
Wouldn't be surprised if he takes 2 pitches right here. You haven't had a hit, haven't had a base runner. You got to do something.
Well, count's going to 3-0. I think the thought with a guy like Carter Holton is that Vanderbilt was going to need a couple of guys to really step up. As a freshman, he has done more than that. As he finds the strike zone. Keep in mind they lost both Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. And we were talking last year about those guys maybe being first and second or first and third, who knows, in the draft. Rocker never did sign because of something that came up in a physical. There's ball 4. Gregory will walk, although Kumar did sign this week with a independent team, Tri-City Valley Cats. Hopefully he can have a great career. He certainly was a tremendous college pitcher, but I think, Troy, it's almost impossible when you're comprising a roster to try and just pick up the slack from that duo.
Yeah, they were just phenomenal. They were big league pitchers pitching in college, like you said. And that's some big shoes to fill.
Hawks have a base runner, and Caden Wallace steps in. He thought maybe he had a homer leading off the bottom of the first, hit one to the right of the foul pole that I'm not sure if he thought it was curving behind it for a home run. They reviewed it, at least
attempted to.
Yeah.
Don't think they had really a shot at that one. It's not like a big league park where we've got multiple cameras all over the place. There's a few, but not near as many.
The problem is, instead of a run on the first batter, Arkansas has gone one time through the lineup. They do not have a hit.
Yeah, that was a big call right there. And again, it had so much slice on it, didn't really know where it crossed the foul pole.
Fought off a high one and fouled it back. 95 again on the gun on that pitch. He cracked his bat?
That's pretty crazy.
He exchanged bats with Jalen Battles. You don't see that every day.
No, not with an aluminum bat or composite.
We had one this year in the SEC, I think Tennessee, where the bat snapped in two. Well, something went flying right off that.
Yeah.
Was that the cap or what was that?
Could be. We went rolling on the ground down the third base line toward the third base dugout.
Wasn't the Tennessee guy who almost hit a home run where the bat snapped just above his hands and he had the knob in his one hand and the barrel went flying?
I did that in high school, but mine looped out to the first baseman. It's a little bit different power right there, right? Almost hit a home run on a broken aluminum bat. That's impressive.
Drilled into center, a base hit. That ball was blistered so hard, Gregory can only go to second. Played back in by Bradfield Jr. The first Razorback hit puts a couple of guys on base with one out in the third.
If you're Carter Holton and you give up your first hit of the ball game, you want to be hit pretty hard, and he goes down to one knee. That ball smoked, and past Colwick, he tried to make a great effort,
Sure
but
did.
that ball is hit just right past him. It's hit so hard.
It's a good outfield, even though I know Jones has had some struggles. Bradfield covers a lot of ground at center, as does Fast and left. Troy, before the series, Tim Corbin used the term with us, RBI defense. Do you get a feeling for what that means as far as playing maybe no doubles, outfielders shifting, moving a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I think a lot of it just has to do with the personnel out there on the field. There's just guys that take away opponents' hits.
Moore hits a chopper to third. Nolan's going to throw to second base for the force. There's runners on the corners now, 2 out, so that did not take long.
Boy, I tell you what, Brett, Parker Nolan goes down to get that baseball, and he has to pick it up right off the turf, and it kind of snow-coned on him. It almost looked like it was going to fall out of his glove whenever he went in there to reach for it. If that would have happened, everybody would have been safe.
Jalen Battles chopped to short to Diaz in the first. I was thinking, though, sometimes you play your outfielders a little bit deep. If a ball goes to the gap, you do not let a guy like Moore score from first to put Arkansas in front. Nonetheless, Holton would love to put up 3 zeros across the scoreboard. It's a good pitch. Breaking ball, curve for a strike.
If Jalen Battles got inserted into the 3-hole for this type of situation right here by Dave Van Horn. See if DVH is pulling all the right levers to see if Battles doesn't come through.
Off his hands and off the railing of the Vandy dugout. Arkansas went from first and second, 1 out, to quickly first and third, 2 gone, and 2 strikes on Jalen. Battles has knocked in 32 this season. Missed pitch.
That might be the fastball, just the show-me fastball to change the eye level of Jalen Battles. Carter Holton's been throwing Battles a steady diet of breaking balls. Might see one down and in right here.
Fouled off the wall down the line and right. Got past our camera. Fans in the first row a little bit anxious.
Almost took that out of the glove of Bulger. It was a good two-strike approach right there. Just looking breaking ball and see it the fastball, and at 95, you just got to have to throw that barrel head at it.
Do you have eye strain after a bright day looking at that watch?
Yeah, I would think you would.
We'd have to get our readers out. That would slow down the game.
Just keep them on all the time. Have the goggles out there on the mound.
Here's a 1-2. Up and in. Jalen racing those hands up to bend back out of the way.
You better. It was 98.
Yes.
You don't want to get hit by that. As a hitter, you feel like once you've gotten from 1-2 to 2-2, you feel like it's not really totally in your advantage, but you feel a lot better about that count.
Gregory's at third, Moore's at first. Long pause before the pitch. That's in. So Vanderbilt got an unearned run at the top of the inning. Arkansas trying to at least get one back here. But on this full count pitch, Moore will take off early and a chance with the ball in the gap to score 2. Pace slowing down just a bit with runners on base. Moore goes, the 3-2 off the hands, a little funny ground ball to the shortstop Diaz. A throw out Battles, and the Razorbacks strand up in there with the Florida Gators. Another SEC guy, Jim Schlossnagle, after those many seasons at TCU. As Diaz bats in the 4th. We've been talking a lot about, the importance of these games and of this series. And also RPI, and that discussion's almost overwhelming at times. You think about Arkansas in 2018 when they came so close to winning a national championship, and you think about this year, and I'm not comparing RPIs, just more of the results. And Troy, Arkansas lost a series at Florida and A&M, and I know for some fans maybe the sky was falling. And yet, think about that team in 2018 that we know was so very good and had that deep run and just about won it. But they really struggled in conference play on the road. And I know it was a different set of opponents. In other words, that was the year where they played a lot of the big boys that came here this year.
Right.
We're going to pop that up, and you may be surprised. I have a feeling you'll remember some of the results on the road, but it felt like every weekend it was just get a game, not a series.
Right.
Just win one. It's a check swing and a ball in the dirt. No swing, says Clint Lawson, and feels like Wiggins has been toying a bit with Diaz since he jumped ahead, and now the count has gone full. You get a lot of those RPI points, of course, from winning on the road, but the 2018 team was able to make a deep run without having a lot of success away from Baumwalk. Here's a payoff, and it's grounded right to short. Scoop by Battles. He'll take care of Diaz, and there's one gone. Going to take you back to 2018, Troy. Arkansas at Florida, lost the series. At Ole Miss, lost the series. Swept at Mississippi State. Lost 2 of 3 again at LSU, and then lost 2 of 3 against Georgia.
Yeah, it's more than just 1 of 2 speed bumps right there, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a team that really just could not find their way on the road, but boy, they were tough at home.
They were, and that helped. See Arkansas 6-6 this year on the road, so if they would win 2 out of 3 in Alabama, they would finish north of that break-even point. There's Parker Nolan, who doubled in his previous AB. Having said that, you also understand the importance of trying to get postseason games at home. I mean, this is the only sport you can do that. You can't do it in college basketball.
Right.
The women can, the men can. You don't get the benefit of putting up a resume so strong that you can host a regional or potentially both a regional and a super. Strike 2 to Nolan.
Yeah, I think this is a really big game, again, for both teams for different reasons, but you really feel like with Arkansas at home with a 3 RPI team in Vanderbilt, they just got to try to find a way to keep scratching and guys like Parker Nolan's going to try to see what they can do without it.
That's a wave and a miss. Strikeout number 6 for Wiggins.
Boy, Wiggins just felt like he had Parker Nolan's number in that at bat, and that hasn't happened very often in this series. Parker Nolan's been red hot.
You talk about this series being important for Vandy, and we got to get number 6. Oh, we're out of tape. Come on, let's go. Hurry up. He's being told that right now. He's being scolded.
Ration it now. Got to split those pieces in half.
He's still fighting that tape. Forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, Vandy. So if they would lose in this game, they'd fall below 500. So this is the difference between being 14-13 or 13-14. And for me, at least, I mean, that feels like a lot.
It really does. That's kind of one of those marks that you feel like if you can be 500 in the SEC, how good the conference is, it kind of changes the thoughts of the committee.
I think we've successfully, well, hate to speak too soon.
It's a work in progress.
It is yes. Wiggins gets another strikeout here. That gentleman's going to have to go right back to work. Colwick Didke in his lone at bat in the second. Just off the corner, Wiggins had started down off the mound towards the dugout. Three-two pitch. He does get the K. That's number 7. Find some more duct tape down the line by the walking taco. We tried the Big Bob for Robert Moore. Troy, that was quite a feast.
Yeah, that was the real deal. That was Logan Wright, and he made it clear. He said, "Hey, I'm not the owner. My older brother Jordan owns the company, and he's going to be mad he's not in this picture." And he asked him, he said, "Well, is there going to be any pictures?" He goes, "I don't think so." And we brought him up here and said, "Oh, we got to get a picture on camera." And so, yeah, Jordan the owner, but they are big-time supporters of Razorback baseball.
So if you get the walking taco from Michael Turner, it's kettle chips, pulled pork, cheese and onions in the bag. Turner lifting one in the air to left center field. This ball will be caught by Vaz. Bradfield Jr. sliding behind him. Turner retired to begin the bottom of the 4th. The Big Bob is Fritos, smoked beans, pulled pork, and shredded cheese. That's what you had for
highly recommended. I think either one of them you can't go wrong.
So anytime you purchase the Big Bob or the Turner walking taco, those players get a little bit of that. So, I mean, that's kind of a fun NIL deal with Wright's Barbecue. Here's Braden Webb. Troy, it's getting late early though in this game, isn't it?
It really is. Again, you got to remember this is a 7-inning ball game, and Arkansas after this inning's just down to 9 outs, and you've got a guy in Carter Holton that's just really filthy on the mound. Only one hit, the laser base hit up the middle by Caden Wallace. That's all they've been able to scratch out at this point.
That's a rip and a miss.
We talked about the right-handers really need to do some damage for Arkansas, and so far Carter Holton has kept everyone in line.
Hits that outside corner.
Well, he does not take much time. You talk about working with efficiency.
I think if he had that pitch comp thing that they have in the big leagues where it's in your ear, you might have to step out all the time because he's going real fast now, and he has to take that quick second to check the wristband, where if it was in your ear saying fastball breaking ball, he might never even break stride. Webb fly to right his only time in, trying to hang in there here, and the count stays full.
He might have hit Webb off the foot. That's why Morris Hodges, the home plate umpire, is going out there and giving Webb a little more time. He's shaking that foot off, and I tell you, as a hitter, that thing is completely numb right now.
And a payoff pitch on the way to Webb. Hawks have a runner. It's the second walk issued by Holton in the game. Actually the third, I beg your pardon.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 17,
This is going to be pitch number 71 for Carter Holton.
Slavens did walk with 2 outs in the second. Bucks need a big hit or a little help.
Vanderbilt playing the shift on Brady Slavens. You can see that the shortstop has swung around Diaz on the right side of second base.
Fouled right back by Slavens. Runs have been tough to come by. This is more maybe what we anticipated with these 2 top 5 or 6 pitching teams in the country. Ballpark played hot in the first game and a half. Warmer temperatures, ball jumping. Changed a little bit after the storm that dropped 20 degrees off the temperature. Lightning strikes and a little bit of rain. Holton is just about ready to jump out of his jersey to flip to first base.
Yeah, and Webb doesn't have that big of a lead, but he's trying to keep him close over there. Keep that double play in order.
A couple of runs would loom awfully large. You see TCU at 30 the other day against Kansas in a game, 30-3.
Well, doesn't surprise me against Kansas, but that's a lot.
Slavens showed bunt, just about wore that one off his chinny chin shin. It might have been a split second. He thought he was doomed.
Wow.
By his nose?
That'll wake you up.
Didn't Brady foul a ball off the ground that came up and got
Yeah,
him?
hit him in the face.
Near the eye. Gonna try and stab at it again.
That is an absolute gift for Vanderbilt right there, having Brady Slavens try to bunt. I know that's a huge hole over there, but I think he is 0 for 6 in that attempt.
Might be 0 for 15 trying all the time. It's enticing. I know it is. You look out there and you see the open real estate. Going to ground one into the shift. That's an unusual double play, and the inning ends. Razorbacks. Leneve will face Wiggins to begin the top of the 5th inning. Struck out in the second. One of 7 Ks Wiggins has posted through 4 innings in which he's given up the 1 run, albeit unearned. Wiggins has that thing hanging out of his glove, that string.
I'm really surprised that is allowed. You'd think it would be distracting. Now, I don't know. You'd have to have some really good eyes to be able to see it.
Well,
but
I don't know if you do or not. It looks like a giant shoelace just dangling straight down about 10 inches. Strikeout number 8. Skate forward the last 5 he's faced.
That's just power versus power against Leneve. Jackson Wiggins is really feeling that fastball. It's got some nice run to it. Starts out over the middle of the plate, elevated, and ends up on the outside corner.
Oh, I've got some news. As Bradfield steps in.
Hit me up. What do you got?
Kevin Kopps today was part of a no-hitter. 4 pitchers combined to throw a no-hitter against the Arkansas Travelers, with Kevin closing the game.
Wow, that's very cool.
Dad Rick said Kevin maybe fought it with his command for a couple of outings, but he told me earlier today he felt like he was back to his normal self and got the no-no today, a 4-pitcher no-hitter.
And this is not what you want to do right here to Bradfield.
been so good with his command and missed on 3 in a row before that strike. Trouble again. How quick could Moore be? How fast does Bradfield run? That is the 8th hit in 11 at-bats in the series for Bradfield.
Yeah, off the bat, when you knew it was up the middle, it was going to have to be just an amazing play. Moore got to it, put a lot on it, just the accuracy wasn't there. And again, if it's not Bradfield running, I think Robert Moore makes this play because he has about a half a second more to kind of gauge in where first base is. He just has to spin and fire and hope he's throwing in the right direction. Do you ever pitch out right here? Just to see if you can get, that's really close.
Slavin's hopping up and down, hoping he had the pick off of Bradfield.
That is Clint Lawson, the first base umpire. That would be a big out if Arkansas would have gotten that call. Not saying he was safe, but it was really close.
Vanderbilt playing for a second run like it feels like 3 or 4 runs. 1 run would be that weighty.
I totally agree with the way that Carter Holton's pitching. Arkansas has only scratched out that 1 run and really hasn't put any pressure on him to have a lot of traffic on the bases. A little bit bigger lead right here for Bradfield.
Not going. Pitches down, that registered at 100 on the gun. 80 pitches into the start for Wiggins. Turner setting up a little bit in. Pitch fouled back.
You almost feel like Bradfield's really trying to measure Wiggins and just kind of picking his time when he is going to go, because it's not if but when.
It's the ultimate challenge if Wiggins would throw one of those 99-mile-an-hour fastballs to see if he could still beat it on a good throw to second. It's not been thrown out this season. I'm not sure about a pick off, but regardless, 37-37.
And that's what Bradfield does. He gets in pitchers' heads, and you try to be a little quicker to the plate, throw more fastballs.
Bolger scored the lone run of this game. He singled in the 3rd inning. Went to 3rd when Jones hit a ground ball that kicked off the glove of Slavitz for an error. And then Keegan sac fly plated Bolger. Now Bolger trying to kickstart this 5th inning with Bradfield aboard and 1 out. He is running here, and there's no chance. That pitch was yanked.
There was a slider outside or cutter, and again, smart play by Turner not even to attempt to throw. Now you got to be careful if Bradfield doesn't want to swipe 3rd right here. Robert Morris going to play right behind second base.
I think if anything, Wiggins needs to lock in on Bolger.
Right.
That is not what he wanted to do in that sequence. He had struck out 4 of 5 hitters and retired 6 in a row before the infield single. It turns into a stolen base, a walk, and here comes DVH. He already wants to make a call to the bullpen with the left-handed Spencer Jones coming in. I thought Wiggins pitched really well, though, today.
Yeah, outstanding job by Jackson Wiggins. The air off Brady Slavins cost him the run.
For almost 30 days. He was pretty much by himself. Wasn't able to play baseball, wasn't able to go to school. Bradfield takes off to 3rd. Throw is close but safe. And Bulger follows to second.
Yeah, I think that's where you got to throw behind to second base in that situation. Nobody was holding Bradfield, and if they threw behind, I think they get Bulger at second base. See right here, Bulger's got that late jump. Bradfield, he just kind of flies as he slides into the base. It's almost like he picks up momentum. That's a huge play right here.
Yeah.
Now Arkansas has to bring this infield in.
And Slavens was playing behind Bulger, so he was able to take off with a degree of comfort. Jones hit the ground ball right to Slavens at first. His last time in. Troy, though, a couple of years ago, he spent 30 days where he was in his residence, no baseball, no school. And Coach Corbin said he was just really worried about the kid individually, let alone baseball-wise.
Yeah, he said they had to kind of bring food to him and leave it outside his door. It's almost like he was in prison, COVID prison.
He's had a big year, not a big series, but a chance for a big hit. Cut on a miss.
Well, it's amazing how much horizontal break those pitches by Evan Taylor have. Again, you got to remember, Jones is 6'7". He's got long arms. They got to be really careful about throwing this ball in the zone.
Bends down and out. Our scoreboard has not been close on the count. Now they finally caught up. It was 4-2 at one point, 3-2 on the big board. It is 2-2. One out infield single, a walk, and 3 stolen bases have moved these runners in a scoring position. Big pitch from Evan Taylor. Lifted down the line in right. Long run for Gregory, nearing the stands, out of play. Several rows.
That's one of those plays, if it was in play, it's like, do you catch it,
right,
and can you throw Bradfield out at the plate?
I don't think the answer would be yes, as far as could you throw him out.
Well, this is a huge batter right here for both teams. Arkansas looking for the punch out. Spencer Jones just wants to lift something to the outfield, because I can guarantee if it's out in the outfield, Bradfield's going to score.
The pitch from Taylor. For the second time this series, Taylor strikes out Jones. That's a huge spot. 2 gone.
That's where Arkansas has had some success against Spencer Jones, is the fastball in. That's a down and in fastball. I don't think that's a strike, but boy, what a tough pitch to hit. And at 6'7", it's really hard to drop the head down and get to that baseball.
I thought we might see Tiger coming in right here. Now Taylor faced Keegan and got him to bounce to third Friday night. Keegan has 53 runs batted in, with his sac fly in the third to score that unearned run, the lone tally in the game, and he has a chance to do even more damage here. Soft ground ball up the middle. Battles was playing in the hole, and he can't get there. And Vanderbilt has done a tremendous job just putting balls in play. They're going to score 2. I'm not sure what Bulger was doing, but able to come home, and it's now a 3-0 Vanderbilt lead. Boy, there have been multiple times in this series there has been a soft ground ball that has trickled through a vacated area and done some huge damage.
Yeah, like you said, Jalen Battles is not playing his normal position, and it just squeaks through. And yeah, Bulger, I'm not really sure what he's doing at second base, because he should have been able to stroll right in, and the crowd kind of roared when that flip by Webb into the second baseman Moore. But what a huge hit for Vanderbilt. Those are 2 gigantic runs.
And unfortunately for Wiggins, they get tacked on his line. Tiger, I was curious, though, Troy, if he might come on to face Keegan. Use Taylor for the one batter, the
sure.
lefty.
I mean, just almost like a guided hit right there, and I guess you can always look back, and hindsight's 20/20, but sometimes when you've got somebody that you feel like's had some success, like Evan Taylor had in that game, sometimes it's better just to leave the guy rolling.
1 and 2 to Vaz, who's K'd both times. Both of those were against Wiggins. And that's a wave and a miss. So Vaz will go down on strikes, but 2 more huge runs by the Commodores. If you pick a bad week to play well and your opponents do play well, you're not going to like the outcome in this circuit.
That is true. It is just a relentless, never-ending challenge in this conference.
Leach, Borfin, and Gregory here in the bottom of the 5th inning. You know, in a normal 9-inning game, you might be thinking, let's just get this guy to about 100 pitches and see if we can have any better luck against the bullpen. That's not really the case here. Leach lifting one to right. Jones back, still moving, nearing the fence, leaping high, and he may have robbed a home run. The big frame of Spencer Jones paid huge dividends.
That's where 6'7" comes in handy. That ball was going to clear the wall. Also being left-handed made a big part of this play, Brett. Watch him come back, and the glove is on that side. He doesn't have to reach across his body right there. That is called stealing a home run. Wow, what a big play.
Almost stepped right at the base of that fence. Well, for a man who's had some struggles in the outfield, he redeemed himself a bit.
Yeah, and then some.
That play. Chase Borfin popped up to Kolwick at second. Back in the 3rd. Thinking about a guy like Borfin, this could be his last at bat in this game. This is his 2nd time in.
Right. Arkansas has not had many base runners, only the 1 base hit by Caden Wallace.
Almost provided a free base runner, but Chase trying to bend back out of the way. Two and 2. Pitch count just barely up over 80 for the freshman Carter Holton. Opponents were hitting just 203 against him in over 60 innings. That number is probably below 200 now. 2 gone.
Well, he's looked really good out on the mound, and he's a guy that pitches with a lot of pace and nasty off-speed pitch right there, down in the zone. Good job by Bolger, and he got the tag, but he wanted to make sure anyway. But, well, like you said earlier, Brett, Carter Holton is as advertised.
Zach Gregory walked in the 3rd inning. So Zach has 25 hits and he's walked 28 times. More walks than hits. That's why that on-base percentage has been a huge number. Hogs need base runners and then some. I thought that looked pretty good. Maybe that broke late.
It's been slightly up. I think the way that Gregory kind of ducks under pitches. Not by much if it was.
Outside 2-1. 93 in the gun.
Well, if Arkansas scratches out a run right here, how big is that play by Jones out in right field?
Probably extinguished a little bit of momentum too.
Yeah, just took the crowd out of this ball game.
Gregory on his way to first thought he had ball 4, and yet the count reaches that full position again.
That might have been a makeup for the breaking ball that probably was a strike.
Could have been. Dribbler to the right side, backhanded by Keegan. Foot race. Those raccoons are nocturnal or not?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
But they do come out during the day. Just depends on how much food they need to try to gather for the day.
Here's Davis Diaz taking strike 1.
That was the quote.
Had a lot of time to research that between
There was some ample time on today. Boy, it doesn't look like we had any kind of weather the way it looks right now. It's picture perfect out there.
So we played for an hour to complete the game suspended last night. We're supposed to start the finale at 12:45. Instead, it got going at 3:32. Two-strike pitch. Down and out to the shortstop for the Commodores. Taylor not close on that one.
I think this is a big inning for Arkansas again. You feel like Vanderbilt definitely has all the momentum, but you need a quick inning. You don't really want to have a lot of traffic on the bases and a lot of stress. You want to try to get back to the dugout. You got 6 outs to work with.
Count's gone full. It's fouled back. I think you're right, though. It doesn't even look like we had a lengthy weather delay. There's a lot of fans out there on those bomb dominiums in left field. Hanging out, having a good old day.
Back up on the rooftop. Thinking about a couple hours, it's going to get a little ugly again here tonight here in Fayetteville, weather-wise.
That's strike 3 call. So Taylor has struck out 3 of the 4 batters he faced. The only other guy got a soft contact grounder, but it resulted in a hit and scored 2.
That was a huge hit by Dominic Keegan.
There's the fans in the bases loaded landing. They're also way out there in left field up on top of those buildings. Kind of a scenic place to be when it's not lightning or raining. I used to call those barn dominiums. How about bomb dominiums? What do you think?
I like that.
Get the marketing materials out right now and change it?
I think it's a pretty cool view from up there.
So too. I mean, how leisurely can you imagine it on a Sunday than hanging out up there? I don't even have their back turned to the game. Parker Nolan has been a pest in the Razorback side. He did strike out in the 4th inning, but he doubled back in the 2nd. Just 1 of 5 hits today for the Commodores. Commodores have 5 of the 6 hits of this game. I had the knees buckling a bit.
That's the one that starts out behind that left-handed hitter, and I'll tell you what, it's really, really tough. Just the angle that ball comes out of Evan Taylor's hand, it's a really 3/4 delivery, and just tremendous horizontal movement.
Nolan would not expand the zone or chase. Suppose there's a few Texas A&M fans tuning in right now?
I would think so.
Hello, College Station. They become Vanderbilt fans. 2-2 pitch is off the corner. Nolan was trying to frame that one up, or Taylor was to Nolan.
Yeah, I think that was off the play, but Morris Hodges, the home plate umpire, he flinched a little bit.
Count's gone full yet again. That's not close. It'll go to the backstop. Turner has to chase. What are your conditions for bringing Tigert into the game? I know sometimes with a closer, you hate to bring somebody in when you're trailing by 3 runs. The other part of that is he's been up throwing off and on, and obviously the Razorbacks don't want to see this deficit grow to 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they don't have him in the ball game right now, because he is definitely hot.
Foul ball, gloved by Coach Corbin.
But you're also trying to control that pitch count, and a lot of times those relievers, they kind of have that mindset of 1 inning, and you want to keep that kind of tenacity that they have when they come in.
I think the one thing Vanderbilt has done, though, throughout this lineup is kind of go left, right, left, right. I mean,
sure.
They don't give you the back-to-back lefties, and I would think that's by design.
I think Arkansas does the same thing. You've got a couple of really good coaches in here, and Tim Corbin and Dave Van Horn, and they really try to do everything they can to give their team the best possible opportunity to win.
Makes it hard, though, to strategically utilize your bullpen if you're going to go for a couple of batters here or there. Just a little bit up, not by much. It's kind of been the pitch all series that has not been given. I think these guys, for the most part, this entire crew's been pretty good east to west. Been some grumblings on pitches right at or maybe a little bit above that belt.
Kind of that old traditional Southwest Conference zone. That ball's crushed.
In the air, deep left field, back to the wall, and it is gone. Colwick with the 2-run shot. And the Commodores a little bit closer to winning this game in this series.
Boy, what a big home run by Tate Colwick. He's hit a couple of this weekend, and none bigger than that one right there.
Number 8 on the season, 5-0 Commodores.
Yeah, pitch up in the zone. Great extension by Colwick. He just had to stand there for just a second and admire it. Watch the dugout by Vandy. They know it's gone. And no doubter out to left field. You can see Gregory out there. He's already looking back.
Matthew Polk is going to pinch hit, so the left-hander batting at the bottom of the lineup will be lifted. Polk's a freshman from Long Beach, California, Orange Lutheran High School, same high school that produced Garrett Cole. There's a ground ball to third, handled by Wallace, and Polk didn't waste much time. 2 outs.
Now batting number 51, Enrique Bradfield Jr.
Enrique Bradfield Jr., Troy, has a chance with a base hit here to have 3 hits in all 3 games of this series.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, it has Player of the Week written all over it, I would think.
I think when Robert Moore was saying best player in the SEC, convinced me I'm wrong. I think he's got a pretty good argument.
Fooled on that swing.
We're talking about a swing taking the life out of this stadium.
Taylor got the final 2 outs in the 5th, trying to work through this 6th. Both appearances this weekend, Taylor has given up the homer. This one scores 2.
Arkansas has come back from a 5-run deficit. The only problem is they've had a 9-inning ball game to do it in.
And they were down so quickly in games. Both this past Friday, a week ago Friday in Auburn, down 5-1 in game 2, but won. Count's gone full to Bradfield.
Not really sure where that one was.
And the payoff. Just spoiled by Bradfield Jr. So he'll be back into the seats near the concourse. Bradfield just seems to be seeing the baseball really well.
We've only seen him fool a couple swings, but he gets locked back in really quickly. Has a short memory on those bad swings.
Slavens will take it himself, and they're getting it here in this nightcap, the series finale. Holton back to work. Wallace driving one out there to left, but not quite enough. As calling off everybody in the ballpark, and he's there to make the catch. So Wallace retired on a quick 1-pitch fly out, the bottom of the 6th inning.
Number 1, Robert Moore.
Boy, Brett, how good has Carter Holton been?
Really good. I was kind of curious Troy to see him pitch this week, and Vanderbilt made a few changes to the rotation coming in. But certainly his numbers were eye-popping. Moore's 0 for 2. But to me, it's not just his effectiveness, it's really that tempo, too. We talked a lot about that. I know he's walked 3 guys. He erased 1 in a double play. 1 came with 2 outs. And the other guy who walked Gregory is the only Razorback to reach scoring position all game long. Although that one is into the corner. So Robert Moore should be on his way to second base. Vaz will play it back in. That's a double for Robert. Just the second hit of the game for Arkansas. Maybe that'll kickstart a bit of a threat this inning.
Well, a couple borderline strikes on Robert Moore, and he just had to take the at-bat into his own hands. A hanging breaking ball in the outside corner. Not a bad pitch, but he goes out there and just hooks this one, able to keep that ball fair. And off the bat, it looks like that there's not even going to be a close play at second base, but Vaz gets to that baseball in a hurry. And I know Moore didn't have to slide, but boy, that was a great hustle effort by Vaz out there and left.
Twice Battles is grounded to short. He's going to swing at the first pitch and lift one to Vaz. So both Wallace and Battles on 1 pitch flied out to the Vandy left fielder. 2 gone.
That's not going to help the idea of trying to get him, the starter out Holton, with a pitch count. But again, sometimes the first pitch is the best one. If you're an Arkansas fan, you just wish the result was a little bit better than a couple flyouts to Vaz and left.
Michael Turner 0 for 2 in the game, 1 for 12 in the series. Fouls that one back. It seems like a couple of times he's been jammed, right? That contact right in there, right above the hands on the handle.
Those are pitches normally he doesn't swing at, so I don't know if he's not getting a good look at Carter Holton. Maybe he's hiding that ball really well to left-handed batters.
He's seen a couple of good lefties this weekend, and then some. Big Bender. Strike 2. Holton fades one off the corner. 2 more pitches to reach triple digits or the century mark. I think he'd probably be nearing the end of his day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so. There's some activity down in the Vanderbilt bullpen, but he has been spot on today.
Drill to center, out to Bradfield. He will just outrun the baseball. Impacts the game in so many ways. Moore gets a double. He's left. Fight all 3 games long.
Absolutely, and they knew that even though Vanderbilt came in 12-12, they can really play.
There's a liner to center, taken on a hop by Webb, but quite frankly, Troy, Vanderbilt's just out-hit Arkansas.
They really have. And you think about the 11-6 game when 8 of those runs came on free base runners.
Yeah, only 5 hits in the win.
Sure.
2 hits today in the finale.
34, Spencer Jones.
Been kind of living and dying off that home run swing.
At the end of that completion of the suspended game today, I said, and Vanderbilt was issuing walks and Arkansas was scoring runs, that Vandy was in that mindset, let's just get all the bad out of our system in game 2. And for the Razorbacks, you started to think they're wondering if they should be saving a few of these runs.
It seems like it works that way more often than not.
Yeah, sure does. And this isn't that traditional doubleheader, but it has that same feel. Jones rips one just over the head, I think, of our camera guy in the well.
Wow.
Outside of the screen. Incoming. Everything okay down there? I hope. Got a thumbs up.
All right.
Walt's down there with his giant lens. Knocked down by Turner.
Well, the things I've seen offensively from Vanderbilt is just really good quality at bats. A team that rarely expands that strike zone. And And when they do see pitches in the zone, they're really aggressive.
I know Wiggins has had a lot of Ks today. It feels like Vanderbilt has been able to put balls in play with 2 strikes, though, in other sequences, just to try and take advantage of maybe some open real estate. Jackson will pitch much better than his numbers indicated today. The unearned run in the 5th, and he left with a couple of base runners that both scored. This ball stroked down the line and right, bending into the corner, and it's foul in those Loge boxes.
Well, that was close as well.
It stayed fair for a long time.
It really did.
On that journey towards the pole at the 320 sign.
Boy, off the bat, I thought it was gone. I thought it was going to hold plane and stay just inside that foul pole. Spencer Jones had the 6 hits on Tuesday against Indiana State,
including the walk-off. Knocked down again by Turner. Count's gone full. Ramage just looking for an out to start this process of accumulating 3 in the 7th inning. Running with a 3-2 was Bolger. A tap foul. Troy, that last swing is what I think we've seen a lot too. You know, that ability just to make contact, just to foul it back.
Yeah, just a really good 2-strike approach, kind of sitting breaking ball and adjusting to the fastball.
And has Vanderbilt run on 3-2 counts more than any team you've seen this year?
Yes, very aggressive. Even with a short lead, like Bolger's not going to get picked off. I mean, I'm telling you, he's got like a 6-foot lead at best.
And that's where being able to put a ball in play keeps away from a strike him out, throw him out, double play. Going to run again. Ball 4. It's not the beginning to this 7th inning Arkansas had hoped for. Brings up the cleanup hitter, Keegan.
Yeah, all he's done is had a strike out his first at-bat, the sac fly to right field on a 2-strike pitch. Just a great at-bat, and then the base hit that had the exit velocity was probably around 75, hit it where there ain't, right up the middle.
Fouled back off the bat of Keegan. Keegan's one of those guys who's had quite a journey as well. He had a blood clot, I think, in his bicep a couple of years ago. Had to have a rib removed from his right side. Then had complications and internal bleeding with a lung that was compressed. I mean, he's had to overcome a lot to be in this spot. He was drafted by the Yankees, I think the 19th round last year. Decided to come back, and you think about what it takes sometimes to make a deep run. It takes a Dominic Keegan bypassing a draft and saying, I'm going to come back and play another year.
Just that experience and, again, that run production that he's been able to do this year.
Because before that Colwick-Homer last inning, it was Keegan 3, Arkansas nothing.
Right.
And you're talking about winning a big game to win a series, to put your team above 500 in the conference, to give them a chance to maybe be a host, keep that RPI in the top 5 in the country. Is there a chance Vandy could be like 2 with the RPI?
I think it's possible.
Playable for Webb. Going to continue to move and glide. He'll make the catch. Bolger is going to tag. Go to third. The throw was too high for Battles, which allows Jones to advance. Had Jalen been able to catch that throw, or the throw been lower, I think they had Jones in no man's land between first and second.
Yeah, Jones was committed right there. And again, that's where you have to hit your cutoff man. You're not going to throw the runner out at third base. You see Webb come up right there. Battles does all he can do, but Spencer Jones is about halfway between first and second base when that ball hits Battles' glove. That is a giant mistake by Braden Webb.
Infield in again for Vaz.
Because you've just taken the double play out of
Yeah, you sure have.
out of here with that throw. You just can't make that throw.
This is where the Commodores have excelled. There was one safety squeeze where the bunt only got a few feet in front of the plate, and Turner made a great play to jump out and grab it, make a tag. But Vanderbilt has sacrificed fly Arkansas to death. Been able to squirt some balls through infield holes. I have at least 3 sacrifice flies in this series.
Yeah, they've really done a great job. Just execution is what you kind of expect out of a Tim Corbin team.
All right, 3 sac flies and a sacrifice bunt on the safety squeeze. Oh, 2 hole for Vaz.
And you just talked about, Vanderbilt's ability to make contact 0-2. That's a pitch that almost hits the dirt by Cole Ramage, and Vaz spoiled it.
Vaz has K'd all 3 times, but up here in a situation where he's trying to deliver, keep fouling him off. Just 1 out in this 7th inning, and again, if you're just tuning in, I probably should have reminded you more, but this is a 7-inning game, so this thing's about winding down.
A really good take by Vaz right there. I mean, it's a huge hill to climb for Arkansas, but you cannot afford to give up any more runs. That's why that infield is in. Cole Ramage would really like the punch out right here.
Inside, 2-2. Runner at third base is Bolcher. At second base is Jones. Single on a walk and a long fly ball this frame. Hit hard to Slavens. His throw home is going to get Bolcher at a rundown.
You got to run it all the way back.
Got to tag that lead runner. He's going to tag everybody, but the out is recorded on Bolcher. Vaz did get to second base. Spencer Jones is leaving the base.
I don't think that's right.
There's 2 outs.
Yeah, there's still an out, but
Guess
nice.
that lead runner is entitled to the base.
I guess so.
Even though he vacated it here on this path.
It was a good play by Slavens. And again, once that runner on, when Jones occupied third base, that's the thing that Turner needs to do, just run them all the way back. There's no sense in continuing the rundown.
Davis Diaz batting for the 4th time, looking for his first hit. Five nothing Vandy in the 7th. Arkansas in their 7th inning will send up Webb, Slavens, and Leach. Task is difficult now. It'll be even a bigger challenge if Diaz adds to the run total. Lifted in the air to left center. Gregory with a lot of room to cover. Going to give way to Webb. And he getting in. So Vanderbilt strands a couple of runners in scoring position. Hawks have some work to do. Bottom of the 7th. Well, Texas A&M may be watching with some interest if Arkansas falls here in this series finale, loses 2 out of 3 to Vandy. Both teams will be 17-10, top that West.
Yeah, they've really come on like gangbusters, and Carter Holton He's going to come back out for the 7th.
Now,
How about that? He's going to try and finish off the 7-inning complete game shutout.
Yeah, 99 pitches and a little bit of a head scratch with that 5-run lead, but again, he really hasn't had any stressful innings.
Nope.
It's been like cruise control.
Webb walked earlier. Arkansas had 1 runner reach 3rd. Robert Moore doubled last inning. That's it as far as even getting runners in a scoring position.
I think if you're Arkansas, you've just got to take till you get a strike at least, and you're down 5 runs. I know hitters don't like to do it. I never did, but got to get base runners.
Webb, Slavens, and Leach. Borfin, if anybody reaches. We take 5 batters getting to the 6th to Wallace to turn the lineup over.
Pretty good pitch. It might have been a strike if Bulger catches that baseball.
Arkansas was shut out against Stanford early in the year. That was really one of their big RPI possibilities, and Webb will walk to begin the 7th inning. Lost a 2-1 game at Texas A&M.
batting for the Razorbacks, number 17, Brady Slavens.
Slavens hit into the double play, into the shift. 4-6-3 back in the 4th inning.
I'm a little surprised that Keegan's holding Webb on at first base with left-hand hitting Slavens. Guy that has a tendency to, he's going to go in there and talk to the pitcher. Maybe this might be to slow him down just a little bit, but also tell him, hey, I'm going to play behind him right here.
I think you could play a few steps behind him and still Slavens would not, or Webb rather, would not run with Slavens back.
Right. You want to keep Webb at first base.
You don't want to really risk it down 5-0 if there's a possibility of not being able to get a big enough lead to be successful against a left-handed starter, and Holton, who's showed off a pretty good move at times. Tied to Slavens 2-0.
Vanderbilt's really playing that double play depth. Look where Kolwick, the second baseman's playing. He is really tight.
That's exactly where Slavens hit it last time.
That's
right
true.
to him. Strike on the corner. Brady disagreed. Morris Hodges.
See where this last pitch was. Yeah, well off the plate.
It's a big pitch for Holton. He didn't want to go 3-0 to Slavens and risk maybe walking the first 2 guys and then probably departing. Playable, I think, for Cole. He's got it. 1 out. This will be pitch number 110. Good one, too.
We've seen the whole package from Carter Holton. I think it's one of those days that everything he has been working. That doesn't happen for a pitcher very often.
That's true, and it's probably one of the thought processes of giving him a chance to finish, get a shutout, albeit a 7-inning game. It was still going that baseball card as a shutout. Battery's going to run out on that watch at some point. What happens then?
Maybe it's got like a solar thing in there where you just kind of hold it out in the sun and just keeps rolling.
Strike 3. Right on the outside corner. Curve, backdoor breaking ball. Razorbacks down to their final out.
That just kind of sums up this pitch right here for the day for Carter Holton. That's just been an outstanding pitch. I think it did catch the corner.
Troy, this would be the first time since 2019 the Razorbacks have lost an SEC home series, ending their streak of 12 straight. It takes a lot to be able to do that. Borfin lifting one to left. Vaz is there. The Commodores come to Northwest Arkansas and take 2 out of 3. Vanderbilt out.